Welcome, everybody, to tonight's NS9 Postgame Show powered by Primanti Bros. I'm Jim. With me is Doug. Doug, the Pirates drop another brutal game. I just same old. Thomas Harrington's major league debut, but they lose 7-0. They drop to 1-5 on the season. Doug, flat game. The offense is offensive. How are you tonight, though, Doug? How are you doing?
You know, I'm great. I'm going to tomorrow's game. I'm going to go see Paul Skeens pitch. There's still one thing worth.
Doug.
Yeah. Look, the game was played in a minor league park, and the Pirates play like a minor league team, which I'd be offended if they were AAA. When this is my AAA team, I expect more out of the Indianapolis Indians than this. So, this is sort of, I was just going to use the word hodgepodge, but it's not a hodgepodge of nothing. It's nothingness. It's just a hodgepodge of junk.
It's a hodgepodge of crap.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, just put my glasses on a second. Jack Sawinski leading off.
Are we going right into the rant, Doug?
Can I, or should I wait?
Let's do this. How about before your rant, let me tell everybody about Bet Online, because I'm sure the Pirates were huge underdogs today. And if you bet against them, you probably won. But Bet Online, it's the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. The Final Four is upon us, and Bet Online has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, even live in-game betting while the games are being played, with the largest selection of odds on everything from college basketball to MLB, NHL, and UFC, and even the Kentucky Derby and NFL season futures are ready for you to bet. In between games, head over to the Bet Online casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. Bet Online, the game starts here. All right, Doug. Again, 7-0 loss. Pirates are 1-5. The offense stinks. Not to mention Shane Baz looks electric and had a career-high 10 strikeouts. Let's take it over to you. What does W Fresh want to talk about?
That's a hallmark of a Pittsburgh Pirates team. When another pitcher faces us, he's got a very good chance of setting a career high in strikeouts. I mean, that was a theme from last year. It's playing right in. I mean, but as I was about to say, you got Jack Sawinski leading off. The best possible version of Jack Sawinski is not a good leadoff hitter. Right? And on top of that, he can't hit. You have Brian Reynolds up. Brian Reynolds can't hit in April and May. And if history and Bucko Mike are to believe, he can't hit while his wife expecting a child, right? Next, you've got Oneil Cruz, who might be able to hit, but he's never going to get a chance to hit. They're just going to walk him. He will steal second, but then he'll run slowly from second to third, but inexplicably be waved home by Mike Rabella on a soft comeback to the mound. You know what I'm saying? And be thrown out, 30 feet away from home plate and still make an awkward slide. Then you have Joey Bart, who has never hit anywhere except for a few months last year. An organization much smarter, much better, much more successful than us have given up on him. Then you've got Tommy Pham. He went to high school with me. So, he's old and he can't hit. Then you've got Valdez. He's never been able to hit. After that, you get Cabrian Hayes, who's in 5 seasons, has hit in about 4 months. And then you Triolo, proven he can't hit, and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, who is probably the best hitter on the team right now, who also can't hit and is playing the wrong position. It doesn't matter what Thomas Harrington tonight. We've been spoiled by pitcher debuts. We can't expect everyone to be Skeens and what Jones did early in the season last year. He walked more batters than he's walked in any professional start his career. It was whatever. It's fine. It doesn't matter. All the other problems, the poor fielding, the laziness, you can fire managers and coaches and bring in guys that may get through to them. You can do what they're sort of started to do with the bullpen today, sending Bednar to AAA. Bullpen's the easiest thing to fix on an MLB roster. You can solve those problems. This team cannot hit. It couldn't hit last year. And you brought back the same team. It won't hit this year. It does, like I said, none of the other stuff is frustrating and it'll drive us crazy. It just doesn't matter. Team can't hit. And if everything else gets tightened up, we will lose 1-0 instead of 7-0.
You know what they are, Doug?
Loser. You're all a bunch of losers.
Exactly. It's
shout out to Nardo for getting that in there. Thank you.
Excellent. Well done.
Yeah. No, I mean, we'll get into everything that happened today. But yeah, the offense is just, I would call the offense a dumpster fire right now. But I feel like if I compared them to a dumpster fire, I would have like dumpster fire advocates writing me hate mail, telling me that that's just a completely inconsiderate comparison. Like this offense is terrible. I mean, they had no extra base hits today. 9 singles spread out over the course of 9 innings. They had 0 walks. They struck out 15 times. Like, this offense is pathetic. I mean, that just straight up pathetic. Coming into today, they ranked across the board among the bottom 5 teams in batting average, on base percentage, slugging percentage. The only thing this team does well is steal bases. They didn't even try to do one of those today, but they had no chances to score today. They had 4 at-bats where a runner was even in scoring position, and when they were, they grounded into a double play, or they immediately got out of an inning. Like, at no point were Rays pitchers under any sort of stress throughout this entire game. Just, it was a carefree, stress-free night for Shane Baz, Mason Englert, and Mason Montgomery. Like, these guys didn't break a sweat the entire day. It was just like they were throwing catch to the catcher. It was like a game of catch out there.
Yeah, it was like a simulated game where it's like, okay, we're just going to stand these guys at the plate just so you have a sense of where the strike zone is, right? Now, and let's work on your rehab a little. Don't worry, they're not going to do anything. And that's exactly what it was. It's like you said, pathetic. I mean, there's not enough adjectives. We're repeating ourselves, that sort of thing. It's terrible. The team is inept, and we all saw it coming. I mean, I don't think we thought it was going to be this pathetic, and I didn't think we'd combine in all the just terrible, base running, fielding, never throwing to the, making the right throw, that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, we talked about this. We talked about this throughout the offseason. We talked about it last year. From, the trade deadline on. This is nothing new. We could see it. We're not compensated like Ben Cherington. We supposedly don't have the expertise at Ben Cherington. But we knew this team wasn't going to hit. We knew signing Tommy Pham was not a good idea. We knew that signing Adam Frazier wasn't good. Although Adam Frazier has been one of the more effective players on this team, that's damning him with faint praise. The team is terrible. It was terrible last season, the way it ended the season. And they did nothing to improve it, but sort of click their heels and, hope for the best. And that's just not a very good strategy. You went and got Spencer Horwitz, and he's hurt. Spencer Horwitz is not going to solve the problems of this team.
Yeah, I mean, they had a bottom 3 offense last year, and bottom 4 for being, a little on the safe side there, but it was bad. It was a bad offense last year, and they basically were like, all right, Tommy Pham and Spencer Horwitz, now we're good.
Yeah,
like that was their plan.
It's time to start winning now, right?
And yeah, it was clearly a need that they needed to address, and they just, I don't even know if I want to say they addressed it. I guess you could say they addressed it and that they acquired Spencer Horwitz, but like that's like they did the bare minimum that they could have done this offseason to address this offense, and it's showing because now you have Horwitz who's hurt, so now you're relying on all the guys who were here last year who gave you this pathetic offense, and what are they doing? They're having pathetic offensive performances through the first 6 games of the year. Brian Reynolds did get 2 hits. Brian Hayes got 2 hits. IKF continues to be the only player on this team who's basically contributing any positive value on the position player side. Going into today, he was the sole player on the roster with a positive WAR outside the pitching staff. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, the only player on the roster who has been better than a AAA replacement player. That's IKF. He's the only one. 1 for 3 today. Triolo 1 for 3. But again, like all of these just singles, light like bloopers, grounders that get through, and they haven't shown that they're capable of stringing these types of hits together. And when all you're doing is hitting singles, it's going to be hard to score runs because, like we saw today, it's not like the Rays. The Rays had 10 hits. The Pirates had 9. What was the difference? The Rays had a double, a triple, a homer, and they walked 6 times, right? So like you have to do more than just hit 9 singles throughout the course of a game. And 9 singles is a hell of a lot more than what this team's actually been doing the last couple of games. But when you're not stringing them together like they have been, you're going to have days like this. And like we'll get into Harrington's start. I do want to talk about it. It was his major league debut. It was a big deal for him. But no matter what Thomas Harrington did today, this offense did nothing.
Right. Yeah. When you go into a season, if you're hoping more than 1 or 2 guys sort of break out, you're in trouble, right? And we weren't hoping 1 or 2 guys break out. We were hoping 6 or 7. We were hoping Jack Sawinski off an awful season would be better. We were hoping Brian Hayes off an awful season, right? I mean, Joey Bart hoping he could replicate the magic. Nick Gonzalez after an average season, just on and on and on. And that's not how it works. It doesn't work that way for the Dodgers or the Yankees. It's sure not going to work that way for the Pirates, given what seems to be very poor coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And you just can't cross your fingers and call that a strategy. And that's what they did. Look, we all love Paul Skeens. We all love this starting rotation. It's not enough. It's not enough. I mean, they're going to lose games, and you said like we need to win the Paul Skeens starts, and we're not going to, because we can't score. Paul Skeens can't throw a shutout every single game. He's going to give you a chance. He'll keep you in the game, but like you said, when we do hit, it's singles, and then when we do hit, like I said, we steal bases really well, but man, from second to home, we're just stupid. Our third base coach apparently thinks you just wave everybody in on every situation, and none of the players seem to have any sort of initiative or agency over. And they're just, let's go. I mean, it's just, it's bad on so many levels, and I mean, they're just repeating the same mistakes, and I mean that from an organizational standpoint, that you had to make more of a change in bringing in a platoon first baseman, right? That would have been a nice move if it was the third kind of move they did, fix it. If they would have went and got Luis Robert and added Spencer Horwitz and then signed Conforto or something, you're like, man, I really like that Horwitz move, but as the signature move of the offseason, it didn't do much. And I mean, he can come in and be lights out, and it's not enough. It's just not enough.
Shout out Penn here. So we'll get into Harrington's night, but yeah, bad night for him. But he's just kind of agreeing with you. Like the offense is just so bad, and he's saying again, like no matter how good this pitching staff's going to be, it's not going to matter if this offense can't score some runs. And shout out to DiNardo in the NS9. Which I guess that's us, but yeah, giving out some memberships tonight. So that's kind of cool. So congrats to our 5 new members. But no, Doug, I mean, you're you're right. I mean, 1-5 now, right? You're seeing the exact same mistakes that we saw before. Nothing seems to have changed as far as the on-field product goes from the end of last year to this year. I don't want to get too much into it, but like, I mean, if this continues, like, we could see a coaching change early on this year. Like, I don't know how bad it needs to get, but like, this is a team that was supposed to compete, right? The manager of this team before the season started said it is time to win. You're 1-5 now. If this continues for another 2 weeks, you've essentially played yourself out of a playoff spot, and it's going to be mid-April.
Right.
Right.
Well, and again, this is, a manager that said we need to win by doing the little things. It's time to win. He's all these little things, and they're certainly not doing the little things right. Right. And that does come down to manager, coaching staff, that sort of thing. I mean, it's not his fault that nobody on the team can hit. I mean, that's just the bad lineup that he's stuck with. And by no means do I think, we could bring Jim Leland back. We could bring, Connie Mack, John McGraw, whoever, Tommy Lasorda. This team can't hit. But if you keep, like you said, these mistakes keep repeating, and you keep losing, I mean, sooner or later, Ben Harrington's got to try to save his job, right? And he can say they're accountable together all he wants. At some point, he's got to show that he did something. And the schedule doesn't look, the Yankees are next, right? I think it's the Cardinals after that. That's not a recipe for, hey, let's go on a winning streak for a team that can't score runs.
Yep. I mean, I think we've talked at length that just the offense was pathetic today. It's been pathetic all week. We're a week into this year. Let's shift focus to the pitching. I thought the bullpen did a pretty good job of just kind of keeping things where they were. This game really, really could have gotten out of hand. And, Lawrence, Ferguson, Wentz all pitched a scoreless inning. Santana gave up a run there in the ninth. But, at that point, the game was over. But I do want to talk, let's talk about Thomas Harrington for a little bit. Top 100 prospect, much anticipated debut. People were calling for him to make the team out of spring training. He's been very dominant at pretty much every level throughout the minors. Good pitch mix, good starters pitch mix, excellent command was his calling card coming through the minors. Really good slider. His other pitches, the fastball being able to play up. Today, I think you could easily, let's just kind of say, so stat line, 4 innings, 7 hits, 6 runs, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts. I think you can say that this wasn't what we expected out of Thomas Harrington. Again, the command is kind of his calling card. And whenever you walk 4 batters, when you're missing as bad as he was with some of his pitches, and with the stuff that he has, it's good stuff, but it's not overpowering elite stuff. You just can't get away with that type of. You can't get away with putting that many runners on base for free at this level. If your stuff isn't absolutely elite, and Harrington doesn't have elite stuff, so it was definitely out of character for Harrington. It was his major league debut. I gotta imagine he was amped up. He was nervous. He was all kinds of things because that first inning just didn't look anything like him. But let's talk about his start a little bit. What were your thoughts? Are you kind of chalking this up to just like nerves and first start jitters? I mean, what did you see out of him?
I think so, right? That makes the most sense. He's never walked for a professional start. All right, so I mean, this is quite an aberration. The strike zone didn't change from AAA to the major league. I think he was nervous. He gave up 3 in the first, came back with a good second inning. But he didn't have his command, which is his calling card, and he'll get no help from the defense here. He's not going to, and if he can't kind of rear back and strike somebody out when there's guys on second and third or that sort of thing, and that's not the kind of stuff he has. He said he's got good stuff, but it's not elite stuff. And in command, he needs to put the ball, right on the spots, on the corners, that sort of thing. He wasn't doing that, and a major league team will take advantage of that. And that's what happened. I'm hoping he makes his next start. You never know with what the Pirates are going to do. We've seen guys have great first outings. Nick Kingham and Max Kranick. So it's his first start. We'll chalk it up. We need to see improvement in his next one, and his next one's probably going to be against the Cardinals, I would think. So.
Yeah, Gabe asks, do we think this is just a spot start, or do you think he's up here for the long haul? I I don't know. I'm curious on how they're going to handle it. I could see them just going back to the 5-man rotation and having Mlodzinski be that 5th starter, but I could also see them, especially with them optioning Bednar, I could also see them maybe sliding Mlodzinski into a bullpen role now and sticking with Harrington in that 5th spot. I'm curious on how they would do it. If it's me, I'm probably giving Harrington another shot, like a couple more tries through here and moving Mlodzinski to the bullpen, because I think, especially with the way this bullpen is right now, I think you could use some arms that you can just like rely on. And I think Mlodzinski gives you that. But yeah, I have a feeling this is going to just be a spot start for Harrington. Like I said, probably not what I would do, but I think they're going to send him back and then they're going to keep rolling with Mlodzinski. Otherwise, I feel like they would have just gone with a regular bullpen game yesterday. Like if they didn't feel like Mlodzinski was truly a starting pitcher, like they would have just said, all right, Carmen, 3 innings and you're out, and then we'll go to the next guy. But they were trying to get some length out of Carmen yesterday. So I have a feeling they're going to stick with Carmen and send Harrington down. But
I'm with you. It's not what I would do, but it sounds like what the Pirates would do, because they never seem to do the thing that makes the bullpen is in desperate need of help, and you've got a good, proven bullpen arm. We're going to keep him in the rotation and send the kid back. So but if it were up to me, he'd get 2-3 more starts, and and more if he sort of sorted his issues out. I'd love to see Mlodzinski back in the bullpen. But you're probably right. He'll be making his next turn, and Harrington will go down, and they'll bring Hunter Stratton or somebody else, something along those lines.
Yeah, I do want to do a little bit of a breakdown here for Harrington, because this is probably a lot of people's first time seeing him. You may have seen him in spring training, you may have seen him in like a prospect breakout game, things like that. But I think for most fans, this is probably the first time you're getting eyes on Thomas Harrington. Again, the scouting report on the guy is decent stuff, not overpowering, and I think you saw that today. Good slider, and really good command. Again, the command wasn't there today, and I think that played the biggest part in his struggles. 90 pitches, 54 of them for strike, so really just missing the zone way too much. But just to kind of show you a little bit here, I'm going to share some stuff. So if you're listening to the podcast, I'm going to try to break this down from an audio standpoint as best I can. But I want to show you just Thomas Harrington, and I want to go to we're going to go to changeups by Thomas Harrington today, and particularly changeups against lefties. That's when you're going to throw them the most. And so when you look at this, you kind of just see, okay, this isn't where you should be throwing changeups to lefties for the most part. Right here, this is an in-play runs. This is a Jake Mangum 2-run double that was in the first inning. And then you're just seeing a lot of just really bad misses down here in like the bottom inside part of the zone. So when it comes to changeups against lefties, you would prefer stuff more to be kind of out here, right? Something that pairs well, that tunnels well with his fastball and just kind of goes the other direction, goes away and down from a left-handed hitter. And so this was just a pitch that he wasn't executing today. I mean, as you can see, like he didn't throw this changeup really anywhere near where he wanted to. On the bright side, if we look at sliders against righties, this is where I think if we're going to talk about something good that Thomas Harrington did today, he was locating his slider, and he was it was a very effective pitch for him today. Like these sliders right here, these are all very well executed against right-handed batters. There's a few misses like up here that are waste pitches. These are uncompetitive pitches down here, but like all these pitches, like that's where you want to throw those. I mean, this is, if we look at them, let me go back here. If we go here, now let me close out of here. My mouse is acting up on me. Okay, let's go back here. So if we look at these pitches, though, like that's a foul ball, that's a strike. There's a called strike. There's an out. There's an out. There's a strike. So like he was locating the slider, I thought, a lot better. But that was just sort of what I wanted to point out from Harrington today. The changeup against lefties, it was just all over the place. Slider against righties looked good. So if there's something to build upon, there's some positive signs here. But yeah, not what you want to see out of Harrington in his first start for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't, there's not much to sugarcoat. It wasn't a great start. Mm-hmm. I've watched a lot of baseball. I've seen a lot of debuts. They're not all great. Most of them aren't. We got really spoiled by those two guys last year. So, like I said, I'd like to see him in another 4 or 5 days throw again, but we'll see what the powers that be say.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he threw, again, 90 pitches, threw 6 different pitches. It was mostly four-seam fastball, sinker, slider, changeup, threw in a couple cutters, couple curveballs in there. But yeah, overall 9 swings and misses, 21% whiff rate. So yeah, nothing overpowering by any means. Very, very different from Shane Baz, who we saw on the other side. 13 swings and misses. He was pumping 100 at one point. Yeah, it was rough. As Rob points out here, like Harrington had 19 walks last season and he had 4 tonight. So it was just not typical Thomas Harrington. And you hopefully chalk that up to just, nerves and major league debut. And hopefully it's not just, he's going to be overmatched when he takes this step up to the next level of hitters. So I'm excited to see how he does going forward. I do have a feeling though, this was sort of just a spot start for him. But yeah, nothing, not what we were hoping to see out of Harrington tonight. That's for sure. Defense, I do want to touch on Oneil Cruz in center field just a little bit. Another error. It didn't actually cost them anything, the error, but there was another fly ball to the wall where he runner tagged up from second to third, runner tagged from first to second. I know the broadcast was a little critical on him there. It did look like he didn't necessarily get the ball in as fast as you would have loved him to. With Cruz in center field, there's really nowhere else to put him. Like, he's got to be in the outfield at this point. You can't DH him every night because then that completely takes Andrew McCutchen out of your lineup. And he's one of the only other guys here who can hit too. So like Cruz is just going to have to learn these things. And again, it goes back to the coaching. Like at some point, how are you getting this message? And like, you have to communicate this to Oneil Cruz. Like he needs to be better out there. He needs to make smarter decisions. He can't just, I'm not saying he's lazy, but he's also not trying his hardest every play. I don't know if that's the best way to put it. Like
Greg Brown said, he lacked a sense of urgency with his throws.
Lacked a sense of urgency is probably a good way.
That was the nicest thing Greg Brown said about Oneil Cruz.
Yeah, so, like that's probably a good way of putting it.
But it is a good description, right?
Yeah. But he looked bad out there again tonight.
Yeah. I mean, he has to be better. And you're right. Poor roster construction. It's the only place we can put him. I mean, although I think I'd almost rather see Kutch out there at this point in the outfield and him DHing. But yeah, I mean, again, you have to put this on coaching because it's come up, 4 games already out of 6 and somebody hasn't pulled him aside and said, buddy, hit the cutoff, man. Hey, let's, get after it a little better. I mean, and if they have, he's not listening. Which again is just a bigger problem of coaching. If they've tuned out the coaching,
Yeah. And I think Cliff here, I think this is what it is. Like, I think he's actually trying to do too much at times, because, you think of like charging that ball, that ground ball that went under his glove, and it was an error, and the runner got to second. Like, why is he really attacking that ball all too much? The runner was scoring from second. Like, just get the ball and get it in.
Right.
In the 9th inning on that triple, again, like, it was a double cut. There's a double cut on that triple. IKF was out in shallow left field, and then Jared Triolo was on the infield dirt. If he hits one of those cutoff men, there's a possibility that you can make a play on Johnny DeLuca at third base.
Right.
Instead, he misses both of them, and the ball 5 hops, to Cabrian Hayes at third base, and there's no play. So it's just, you're just seeing a lot. It's just mistake after mistake after mistake in center field, and it's a position that he hasn't played. And again, like, I'm not making excuses for the guy. This is Major League Baseball. Like, you got to figure it out. And it stinks that he's in this situation where, like, this is all he can do. He was playing shortstop. He wasn't doing all that great. So then they moved him to center. Yeah, I mean, Sean brings up a point. Maybe, I mean, at this point, you're too far gone. You can't just put IKF in center and Cruz back at short. Like, you can't do that now. Like, you're past the point of no return, I think. But yeah, it's just it's a problem going into today at -3 defensive runs saved. It's game 6.
Game 6,
right? -3 defensive runs saved. Like, how long is this gonna go on? He needs to be better, plain and simple.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and it's one of the many. Again, I mean, it's on player and on coaching, right? Oneil Cruz has to know this by now. He's played professional baseball long enough to know. I mean, he's been the cutoff man, right? So he understands the concept of an outfielder throwing to the cutoff man. I know it's a new position. I know he might not be thrilled about playing the new position, but it seems like he's embraced it. Man, he's got some work to do, and again, with the optics, he doesn't help himself, right? This sort of again, lack of sense of urgency type stuff. We're all fine with a guy screwing up if he's busted. He's running here and he's diving there, but when he's just sort of
like, I don't like the comments said there, like Cliff said, like, I don't think it's a lack of effort. I think there is maybe a lack of urgency, and I think there's maybe just him trying to do too much at times. I think that's sort of what it is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about tomorrow's game. Paul Skeens back on the mound, so, like, save us, Paul Skeens. Please save us, Paul Skeens. Stop this, whatever we're going here. Paul Skeens versus Ryan Pepio. The 1:10 start, which means it's a day game. We'll still have your post-game show. It'll just be around 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Neil and Cody will be on that post-game show. Hopefully we can give away some sandwiches, guys. I know you guys want sandwiches. We want to give away sandwiches. So when the Pirates win, we'll give away 4 sandwiches. So hopefully that happens tomorrow. But that'll be at 1:10 tomorrow. And the Pirates will look to get win number 2. Hopefully they're not heading into the home opener at 1-6. I think that would be a disaster. I'm already not looking forward to the boos that will be rained down upon this team by that home opener crowd. They need a win tomorrow. They need a win tomorrow bad.
They really do. They really do.
Yeah.
I mean, again, and because we all are just putting so much faith in the performances of Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens, it's like we need. When he pitches, we need to win, and we feel like he can sort of carry the whole team and build up the whole team. And if we lose another Paul Skeens start headed into the home opener, whoo, man, I'll be able to hear the boos down here in Jacksonville.
Yeah. All right, guys. Everybody in the chat, you guys are awesome. I don't know how you stick with this after a 6-0 performance like this, but you guys rock. Everybody who's listening to this, watching to this after the fact, thank you so much. Like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, hit the bell. If you're listening on the podcast, leave a review, all that stuff. Tell your friends about us too. But yeah, that's all I got. Appreciate each and every one of you. Pirates lose 7-0. They're 1-5. Hopefully we win tomorrow. It's Skeens Day. Doug, we're out of here.
We're out. Thanks a lot, guys. You guys are always great.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube, if you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucs.